and welcome back to my channel. On this video I'm going to talk about all the countries I visited 2022. So let's get started. So I ended up visiting 10 different countries 2022, and that was not my plan. My plan was only to live in Malta, go back to Finland and visit Mexico in between, but I tend to say yes for every chance to travel, so I ended up going to 10 countries. Small disclaimer, I did not specifically travel to every country I'm gonna mention now. For example, some countries I lived in, or some countries I had like layover in, but I feel like if I went outside the airport I had like 10 hours to discover the country. I think that counts, right? I just want to be happy that I visited 10 countries last year. So let's get started. My year 2022 starts in Malta, where I was living for 9 months, which I have mentioned before. I feel like when I was living in Malta, I was stuck in like traveling mode. I felt like I have to do something all the time. For example, if I was home not doing anything, I felt like I at least have to go explore something new. And that's when I started to feel that there's not much to do in Malta, because after all it's only 35 kilometers big island, and honestly in the end it felt like I turned every rock in there. I don't know if that's saying in English, at least in Finnish it is. Anyway, so for example, in the end, like 8th or 9th month when I was in Malta, I decided to go to Dingley Cliffs, which are like in the opposite side of Malta. I was living in Sliema, and from there it's like 17 kilometers to Dingley Cliffs. And I took Uber there, and I was watching around, took some pictures. So I tried to get myself Uber to go back to Sliema, but there was no connection on that side of island. I don't know why. And I think I still had like 20% of battery in my phone, but after trying so hard to get the Uber, it ran down to 0% and my phone was dead. And so I was thinking, okay, it's 17 kilometers, maybe I could walk, because honestly I don't like to ask help from other people. But it was super hot outside, it was like 35 degrees, and I could manage only when I was in the shadow. So there was one family with the car, so I decided, okay, I will approach them. I started walking towards them and they were like, do you need some help? And I was like, yeah, actually I tried to get a Uber, but my phone died. So they wanted to help me and dropped me to Medina, which is like the old city of Malta. And from there I was able to get bus. Gladly I had some coins that I could use the bus, because usually I was paying with Apple Pay. And because my phone was dead, I could not use Apple Pay. So I had just enough to give for the bus driver so I could get back to Sliema. So I think with taxi it would take like 20 minutes to get home from there, but the whole session, the process took me like 2 hours, and I felt so good when I get back home. That was actually my first time using bus in Malta, because taxi is so cheap in there. So actually the first place I visited, like I traveled to 2022, was on April when we went to Italy. We went for 2 days in Milan and 2 days in Rome, and I was really excited to see Milan, but I feel like when we arrived there, just felt like something was missing. I feel like, okay, they had the nice city area, some expensive shops, and personally I don't even like shopping, so yeah, we went to the cathedral, we went to eat, and something was just missing. But like my favorite thing there was that people were dressing so nicely. I feel like if I would live there I would start shopping also more. But when we took the train to Rome, it was so nice. I don't even know what was so different from Milan. I guess it was like the atmosphere or something. It was so much more like warm feeling in there, and so much more welcoming place. So I really fell in love with Rome, and I feel like I still want to move there. So yeah, I still someday I want to settle in Rome. So the second time I traveled was on June 22. we actually had a road trip from London to Malta, and my friend was already in London, so I flew from Malta to London, and we took the car from London the next day to France through like Calais. Then we stopped in Paris for 1 day, or like to be exact 18 hours, and then we drove to Genova in Italy. We took ferry to Sicily, to Palermo, and I think next day I took flight from Catania to Malta. So in that trip I visited England, France and Italy again. Next trip I made only on August, and this was actually only trip that I actually planned to go on. Every other trip came kind of spontaneously, or the ideas came during the year. But yeah, this was the only one I planned for actually many years already to go on. At the same time I moved out of Malta, so I had all my belongings with me, and yeah, I had vacation to Mexico. Like I've said before, I visited Mexico City, Tijuana and Cancun. I think Mexico City was super nice. It reminded me a little bit of Europe, and they had like similar buildings to Europe. And then in Tijuana, well, there was the festival and a lot of chaos. And the festival was obviously nice, and I made some friends there. And then Cancun was so nice, but I only stayed there for 2 days. But I think I definitely want to go there again, to go to Cancun, to Tulum with like good time, like for 1 week at least. Even 2 weeks would be nice. But yes, after that I booked my flight ticket out of Mexico a bit late, so the prices were not the best possible. So I chose the cheapest flight, which was from Cancun to Texas to Frankfurt to Tallinn. And from Tallinn I was supposed to take like ferry to Finland. So I arrived to Tallinn after that, and well, I don't have much pictures from Tallinn because I lost my phone in Mexico. But in there I did not stay too long. I just booked the ferry, stayed there for a few hours, and then took the ferry to Finland. In Finland we had this rap festival where I was going. That's why I went there that time, but I obviously also want to visit after 9 months of Finland and see my friends and family. But I thought it would be like a reset to go to Finland before my next trip, to like, you know, relax a little bit, but it was not relaxing at all. Like I had still like withdrawals of the Mexico trip, so it was not too relaxing to stay in Finland. And after 5 days it was already time to leave Finland. So the next destination I was going to was South Korea for student exchange, and I had 10-hour layover in Austria. So when I got to Austria, I left the airport, I took the train to the city, I went to eat and just a little bit explored the city and went back to the airport. Then after that I flew to Korea. In Korea I stayed in total of 5 months. I attended school called Korea Aerospace University, Hangongdaehakkyo. I think I spelled it right. It was aerospace university, so a lot of about aviation. They were like pilots, engineers studying, and I think that would maybe not be my first option to where to study, since I'm a business student, but because when I applied for exchange in Finland, I applied first on the first round to Russia, but then I had to change, and on the second round there was not so many options left anymore, so that's why I attended this school. So studying in Korea was alright. I think it was even easier than in Finland, but one thing was a bit annoying because I specifically chose courses or classes which were in English, but turned out they were 50% in Korean, and at that point I did not understand any Korean. I spoke maybe 3 words of Korean. I did not know the alphabet, nothing. So honestly it was okay for me until one class when we had presentation, and I kept my part in English, but the teacher gave the feedback all in Korean, and I was just wondering that what is this helping for me? Like, why am I standing here if I'm only listening him to speak Korean on this English class? So that was the only annoying part, but otherwise it was alright. in the end, I after all managed to learn the Korean alphabet, and I can also say about 30 words or sentences in Korean. I can also read from 1 to 10. So I'm still actually learning because I want to go back to Korea. And yeah, I managed to learn something while I was there. I feel like first 4 months in Korea I was like, I don't really know if I belong here. But the 5th month there, I finally got like routine. I started actually like living there. I felt like I finally settled in there, and then I just felt sad that I had to leave. Like now that I'm in Australia, I've been honestly only doing like Korean or Asian things. I'm going to karaoke, I'm going to arcade, I'm eating Asian food or drinking the bubble tea. I'm completely in some kind of Asia bubble, and I'm refusing to let it go. I'm refusing to adapt to this culture. But okay, I'm trying slowly, but I feel like the culture was so strong in Korea that it really affected me. So it's hard to go back to Western culture. I would not have believed that I'm really saying this, but it's hard. So the last country where I visited was India, and in Delhi. I really liked Delhi. I think Delhi was beautiful. There was a lot of things to see, a lot of delicious food to eat, but I think it's not the place to travel alone. I think I really want to go back to India, but next time I will choose like Mumbai or Goa. And also, since I think because of my blonde hair and blue eyes, many people came for asking pictures with me, and it's a little bit hard for me to say no. I feel like it's so rude if I say no. So I was just like yes, and if I went to some like sightseeing place which should take like 15 minutes to see, it took me sometimes 1 hour because I said yes for all the pictures. So I think also for that reason it would be better to be with someone so they don't come so often to ask for pictures. So that's it. Those were all the countries I visited in 2022, and I'm so excited to see which countries I'm going to visit this year. I have so many plans. I just feel like I'm so busy traveling everywhere that I have no time to go home. I really want to visit Finland also, but at the moment it's so far. But yes, I have so many plans this year, but let's see if my life is going according to those plans. But anyway, I'm so grateful you watched the video. If you have not yet, please subscribe and like this video. See you in next videos. Bye bye.